So if you see a flat bit, don't guess like on the middle of, I don't know, Tanate Gandang Wata. Yay, every day I wake up and I'm in hell. I am the Oscar Schindler of GeoGuessr. Hello everybody, how's it going? So at the time of speaking, we are 14th in the UK on GeoGuessr and 692nd in the world, which means this guy right here is somebody that you can trust. Look at his face. You can trust that, right? That didn't feel good. I've played a hell of a lot of this game. I think I'm on nearly 9,000 games, and I've picked up a few things in my time. And I'm just going to impart some of that on some of you today. So what I've done is I've picked five very specific regions of the world, and I'm basically just going to talk you through what makes them sort of identifiable. I think they're pretty identifiable, and they're in sort of hard countries as well, and they're sort of extreme regions, where if you're playing and you need to make a crunch guess, you know, your butt's on the line, the multis are high, and you've got to pull a guess at your ass. Hopefully, if you can recognize one of these five places, it should really, really help you. So, without further ado, we will go straight into the map making app and look what I've found. First up, I have just called it Flat Sula. So it's this very specific region of South Sulawesi, which is flat, basically, around Lake Tempe and Danau Sindenrang. Although I think they're both the same thing. But if anyone doesn't know, Indonesia, one of the most mountainous countries in the world, one of the most, well, I think it's actually the most volcanic in the world. Not many flat regions of it. The sort of north of Java definitely is, as well as this bit here. Bits of Kalimantan, and then not so much of Sumatra. But Sulawesi, pretty much all just sort of volcanoes and massive hills, except for this region. And as for everything, disclaimer, pinch of salt, whatever you want to call it, there are flat bits in Sulawesi that aren't this bit, all right? Before anybody comes to me. This one, though, I think is pretty recognizable. And that is because of, one, the flatness, and two, the amount of coconut palms. So coconut palms very, very common throughout all of Sulawesi, but as I mentioned, the rest of it's quite hilly. So what you'll find here is these sort of flat, ricey, agricultural plains, sort of picture northern India. And again, I always compare it to this region, and if you do have it and you think it's a bit of a 50-50, maybe there's no tiled roofs to go off, I usually do go off the palms, but again, you can get some coconut palms here as well, you know? Don't like sue me if you lose like 20 elo because you've gone, you know, Sulawesi on Java. But if you see here, we've got the houses on stilts, which is common for Kalimantan and Sulawesi, but these as well on the roofs, South Sulawesi, a bit in Sumatra as well, I believe. But pretty self-explanatory. Lots of fields of rice, your non-tiled roofs, corrugated iron roofs, lots of coconut palms. Within there, you will see mountains to either side, so you could even probably region guess based on the mountains. But as you can see, different coverage. I mean, the one at the start had lots of it was flooded. This one's obviously very dry. This sort of region of Sulawesi can get quite dry if you could like think about the nooses, sort of a bit like that. But yeah, I've just got here. We're pretty flooded. This guy is doing something. I'm not a farmer. I have no idea what he's doing. We've got a bit more hills here because we're going further away from the lake. But yeah, still flat. Still, you see, you got your ricey plains. I think, have I shown this one? Yeah, this one's a pretty perfect one as well. Well done me for choosing this location, right? Yeah, really, really lush, really green, really flat. You will not find that. And again, you won't find it, you know, much else in Sulawesi. I think around here, I did have a look. There was a little bit, but yeah, just be sensible. I know in the crunch of it, if you're in a game, I mean, I've done it before where I've panicked and I'm like not really that sure and not really thinking that clearly. But if you are, And you should always try, always try to do a region guess and make a guess that makes sense, right? Just the map is your biggest friend. It has relief on it. It has all of the lakes. It should be, most of the time it's mapped correctly, and follows what you're seeing. So if you see a flat bit, don't guess like on the middle of, I don't know, Tanate Gandang Wata, where there's no roads. But I mean, I can't really tell much more about it. It's really self-explanatory, thin palms, lots and lots of ricey fields, flat. Go this little pocket of Sulawesi. Next up is another one, which I think again is pretty self-explanatory. The ones, I mean, I'm still going to waffle ridiculously about it because I can't shut the fuck up for my life. It's both a blessing and a curse. More of a curse to anybody that has to come in contact with me. But this is just called the Great Lakes. And so yeah, I'll just get into it. It's really self-explanatory, obviously. You're close to lakes, you're close to water. You're going to find lots and lots of water-based vehicles and activities and stuff like that. Obviously, you do have the main Great Lakes, so people are going to be taking their boats out on that. But if we look at this sort of like the Upper Peninsula area, Michigan Upper Peninsula area. So I've covered Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota here. And again, there are bodies of water throughout the whole of the United States. People are going to have boats there. Don't just, you need to use other things as well. You need to use your noggin to vibe guess and all of that. But I'm just saying, this is usually what I spam when I see boats in and around here. So yeah, we've got boats here. It doesn't feel like we're coastal. We are cooler. We've got sort of like a thin white birch trees. Yeah, the landscape's pretty self-explanatory. Even though America is a nightmare and the South can have pines and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just going to show you some boats, to be honest, on this one. As well as if you're playing, I'm not a moving player, I'm a no-move player, so signs and whatnot aren't really, I don't really run into them as much. But if you're seeing signs for places called like Lake something or whatever, guess where the majority of the lakes are. Just go into the map here, look at all of them. Right there, we've got Pelican Lake, Lac de Flambeau, as well as, up in Quebec, if you've got stuff that says Lac on. Guess up there because it's French for lake, and that's what my C in a. Wait, did I get a C in French? No, I think I got an A in GCSE French. I got C in GCSE Welsh, which is probably more handy to me growing up in Wales. This is another one actually. This is a 2-for-1. So there's no boat in this, but I talked about it in my other video about region guessing the United States, and I talked about the rocks you find by the side of the road and people's houses in this region of the United States. But you do also find them here as well quite often. When I was making this this map, I did come across a fair few rocks exposed in the ground. So yeah, if you run into that as well. But yeah, we've just got boats, 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 and boats. See, we're actually on a lake here. Do I have to talk more about that? No. Lots and lots of boats go where the lakes are. Don't guess like middle of Nevada or something. I don't know. The landscape doesn't fit, but say like Missouri. See, it's pretty lakeless, which I think is a word. But yeah, that's that one. Thirdly, we're halfway there. Well done, all of you who've made it this far. All 3 of you. Congratulations. Give yourselves a pat on the back. We're in my home country. As I said, Wales is where I'm from, but I live in Newcastle at the minute. So I am cursed to be from the blessed Isles of the United Kingdom. Yay, every day I wake up and I'm in hell. But I'm going to be talking about this very specific region here. So John O'Groats is the furthest northerly point of the UK islands. Well, technically it's here, but for some reason we call it John O'Groats. I don't know why. I think Tom Scott did a video about it. He knows more than I do. But Scotland, very, very, very hilly. Very, very hilly. Lots of hills everywhere in Scotland. You've got the Highlands, but the sort of east coast of it. Yeah, I got it right. Anyone that's never tuned in the channel before, I don't know my east and west, and I always get it wrong. But the east coast of it is flat, and that sort of goes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you more of the United Kingdom, and that sort of goes as a whole for the east coast of the United Kingdom. It's sort of, if you go into the map, you can look. It's a lot more sort of like straight. I think the west coast you could say is a bit more freeform. You've got a lot more cliffs. Sort of, if we just look in here, obviously you've got the Scottish Isles, but round here it's sort of like crags about, if you get what I mean. I spent a lot of days on the sort of Welsh coast. And yeah, certainly if you think about the west coast of Ireland, it sort of replicates that down in Cornwall as well. If you look here, it's a bit more sort of like straight, just sort of like goes around. A lot of these things is actually quite hard to explain. That's why I chat shit. But we're gonna get in, and yeah, this is a very, very, very specific region guess for the UK, and maybe I find it a bit easier because I'm from here, and I sort of understand it a bit more. But if you just look again, look into the topography of the map, massive, massive hills here, and then you just get into this pocket, and you've got the remoteness of Scotland, so you've got sort of like your thin, sort of horrible to walk through grass. Yeah, quite dry, quite nothing really, not as much growing, you know, because it's yeah, it's on the extreme. Rock walls as well, certainly in Scotland, very, very coastal. The UK as well, coastal Wales. Um, I love a rock wall. I do love a rock wall. But yeah, if we just go in and around, you can see it's very, very flat. A lot. I mean, still, there's a few inclines, but for Scotland standards, yeah, very, very flat. We've got, you can see the Highlands off to the south of us as well. So I have had this in a game. Again, a lot of these are very, very specific. The sulawesi one can come up quite often, but you know, if you do get it, and the United Kingdom is a horrible, horrible place to region guess. It's one hell of a commit to go up here, right? But I'd like to think if you watch this and can maybe have a route around up here, if you do go, you could get some massive points, you know, especially on high multis. But I'm just going to go in around and show you the rest of the east coast. As you can see here, and I'll go in and I'll show you the west. So yeah, this sort of feels a bit more like up there. Yeah, very flat coastline. And if we just go straight into here, got hills over here, hills here. Yeah, I will go down here. Bit of a Colwyn Bay action. Anyone that's ever in Wales, Llandudno is a really, really beautiful place to go on holiday. Yeah, I used to have a caravan in Towyn as well. But yeah, if we just look in here, lots of cliffs. I know it's you can use the coastline here to tell that you're on the west coast, but certainly it loops around more. It sort of does a bit more somersaults. As I said, it's not as straight. And yeah, big massive cliffs. And again, you do get cliffs on the East Coast. I'm not. It's never a one size fits all with this game. It's horrible. You know, you can use these metas like majority of the time, right? But there will always be outliers. But we're in Norfolk here, and as you can see, Norfolk is one of the flattest places of the UK as well. We are actually quite hilly, and even the flat bits, you'll sort of like be in valleys. So it's like it's not as common to just get like super super flat landscape. Certainly more in the south, definitely. But yeah, the north and Wales and Scotland, which do make up most of the United Kingdom actually, but England would not have you believe that. England rules all, doesn't it? But yeah, as we see, super super flat here. And yeah, that's pretty explanatory. It gives you a bit more about the general gist of the UK if nobody's from here. again, as if you are from the UK, you probably know this as well, but maybe you don't know that John O'Groats is flat. And I did one at Land's End in Cornwall as well, just to sort of show you the difference. So you've still got your sort of like extreme gorse and stuff to tell you that you are on one of the extremities and your coastal, but yeah, certainly a very, very different landscape. And one that hopefully, I mean, one game out of however many, you might get a sort of like John O'Groats, you might get a sort of Bucky. I really want to go and watch a football team up here in the Highland Leagues, and I think I might make it a IRL vlog challenge at some point when the football season starts up. But yeah, that's John O'Groats. And we'll move on to the next one. Penultimate one, we're nearly there. And this is Tierra del Fuego, or the southern tip of Argentina and Chile. And Chile, sorry, to all of my Spanish speakers. And to better reflect this, sort of like with the UK one, I'm going to show you the rest of the country. Because it's all well and good sort of just talking about one specific area, but you sort of need to tell it apart from the other areas. And look, this bit of Argentina is an absolute nightmare to guess. I really, really struggle with like Chubut and like Neuquén, Rio Negro, Santa Cruz. But I'm somewhat okay at this bit because I think it does look a bit different. The whole of this sort of deserty bit is very, very, there's like sort of minute differences in the quality of the grass and the colour of the dirt and how dry it is. And I still probably most of the time just slam Chubut because it's somewhere in the middle. But the southern tip is obviously the most desolate, the most barren. There's not as much growing here because, I mean, look how far south we are. Would you want to be a plant growing here? No. So yeah, super, super barren. More talking specifically about this very, yeah, sort of like yellowy, orange, beige, grey grass. As you can see, it's not lush at all, is it? It's having a fucking terrible time growing here. But yeah, sort of like dirty grass. You've got your sort of short bushes which do exist throughout the whole of it. Obviously, all yellow lines. It's one of the main metas for the nine and the sort of main roads. I think it's just these ones in Chile. So Chile, all white lines or all yellow lines. You do get them sometimes in the Atacama. I once slammed the nine in Chile when it was up here because my brain just saw all yellow lines, and obviously they're pretty different looking. But yeah, this sort of you see yellowy sort of grass. You do get some sheep grazing. I think I actually had one with a few llamas as well. But yeah, certainly up into we've got Tierra del Fuego province. I think this is Magallanes and Chile and Antarctica. That's the name of it. Yeah. So this is Magallanes, and then it must stretch to the Chilean bit of Antarctica. But yeah, into Santa Cruz province it does go. And I'm basically just going to go up the country, and then we should be able to see the difference. Is this the one with the llamas? No, there was a really, really cool one with some llamas. But yeah, we see we're moving up, and there they are. Alpacas, llamas. Somebody tell me what they are. They look like them. But yeah, as you can see, the same sort of landscape. We're going a bit further up. So yeah, a bit different, obviously, to the sort of more desolateness of the tip here. Yeah, it just gets absolutely ravaged by all of the winds that have a free run, basically, across the bottom of the earth. Very, very cold. But yeah, sort of slightly hilly, slightly sort of rolling hills. Down in here, obviously closer to the Patagonian Mountains. I think they still call them the Patagonian Mountains. You will see sort of like white glacial mountains as well. But yeah, as we move up into Santa Cruz, as you can see, we're getting a bit drier. A bit more like hot dry, if you get what I mean. So obviously it's very dry throughout all of it. It is a desert. But yeah, it's Again, it's harder to explain because you're just sort of looking at different. Unless I just use words like hot, dry, and stuff like that, and like we've got a bit more growing in terms of shrubbery. Still not much, but yeah, it's quite hard to guess. Quite hard to explain. So I'm just showing you that honestly, the best way is just to do this, where you sort of like go up throughout it, and I've talked about it on the channel before about my sort of thought process for it for guessing countries, and I will talk about it with the next one as well because I think it's pretty evident in that as well about how they sort of blend in. So obviously, this as we go further up, it goes into a bit more of this, and it feels a bit more like Chubut. So if you know what this looks like, then you can sort of you get this bit, and it's like a melding of the two. Um, as we go into here, you see we're a bit drier. Bit more of this stuff. You see, we don't have the grass. So yeah, this sort of like yellowy, sunny coverage. Yeah, it's like knowing your coverage as well. So this is very, very sunny. Very, very sort of like yellowy looking. I've showed that one. I think this one was really, really cool. But yeah, see, this is vastly, vastly different. Sort of again feels like our New Quins, if you think more of your dry sort of Mendoza mountains. We've got these thin trees going, don't know the name of them. I want to say poplars, but I'm probably wrong. But yeah, sort of very common Mendoza, Cordoba. As we go further up, we've got more growing here. But yeah, we're more rocky, we're more dry, hot dry. You know, more of your like stereotypical desert. And then as we go further up, um, it does sort of mirror it a bit, the far south, with the sort of like your grasslands. But as you can see, this grass is a lot more lush. I think it's still not lush because again it's a desert. But and then we go up into here, and we've got a sort of like more green grassy plains that you think of with Buenos Aires and more northern Argentina. Um, so I hope that made sense to you. It makes sense to me sometimes. I still guess the country wrong a lot of the time, but again, it's if you can have the balls to full commit and full send to the southern tip of here, it's a lot easier once you actually know and are familiar with the coverage and stuff. Because again, massive, massive country, even without multis. If you can tell what this looks like compared to this, you know. Um, and when it's in front of you and when you are comparing them, they are, pretty vastly different. It's just in a game when you've got to like use your knowledge and recollect them all. Hi there. Sorry, I went a bit dead there. I had to do something. It's not the best of transitions, but we'll make do with it. I had finished talking anyway. We've made it. We're on the final one. Well done, everybody. Thank you for putting up with me. I've saved the best till last. There's lots to talk about here. Western South Africa. Anyone that's played any amount of GeoGuessr knows that the interior of South Africa is just horrible to guess, to be honest. Deserts as a whole, pretty rough. There's no sort of vegetation there. It's just sort of dry rocks and dirt and sand that you've got to know the difference between. And it's empty and there's no. Yeah, I hate guessing deserts. Oman can just get in the bin, to be honest. Slam Oman every single time. Like slam middle of Oman every single time. But I was playing a duel the other day, and I got up here, and it actually got me a fair few points. So if you do get specific areas of these really, really hard countries, you really need to utilize them. You really need to know them because so much of this is just samey and horrible. So if you can just find one area which stands out, I'm talking about the upper Uppington region, and the sort of redness of the dirt of it. So I talked about it in my America video with Oklahoma and how you can utilize the redness of the dirt there to tell you how to guess. And it's the same for this bit of South Africa. So very sort of red dirt up here as you get into this peninsula up here as well. Actually, there's no roads up there, but yeah, if we look at the rounds here, we can see that, yeah, it's got a red tinge to it. Sort of like, your Perth meta and your Western Australia meta for Australia. Um, but again, as with everything, as you can see here with red, as with everything, it's not a one size fits all. You can get pockets of red, and differentiating between burnt umber and a sort of darker orange and red is a bit rough. But as you can see, we look in here. This I'd say is orange. This I'd say is red. But yeah, it can be a bit rough telling the two apart. But yeah, as we go up here, if we look certainly closer to Botswana, you can tell by the dirt here. It's very salty, very white. Sort of white salty dirt is very, very common in and around Botswana. Certainly, yeah, very, very different. Even, I mean, that's not much distance there, but yeah, vastly different landscape, vastly different coverage. So if you think closer to Namibia, more rocky, more sort of like dirty, dry, less grass. You see here, less white. And you see, as I was talking about with Argentina, the regions they they blend in. I'm saying like I'm beating a dead horse here, to be honest, but that is the way that my brain works, and that's the way that I can get to the dizzying heights of, what was it, 600th in the world. And it's knowing about how regions sort of traverse into one another. Certainly when I get to talking about here, because I'm just covering all of it. I'm covering all of the western half of South Africa, really, because why the hell not? But yeah, if we go down here, your sort of dry mountains are very, very different to here. So if you look here, we've got, I mean, it sort of feels like Mars, doesn't it? It sort of feels like it's a different planet. Sort of lots of big boulders, very, very burnt, very, very hot. Yeah, everything's just got blasted by the sun. You see here, we've got a slight tinge of red, reddy orange. It does sort of go over towards here as well. If we go here in the hills, you have got grass, so it's different to this, but yeah, we sort of got bits of burnt redness there. This here, that is red dirt. 100% that is red, not orange. And I think it's to do with the rust in the soil, apparently. Don't hate me if I'm wrong, but yeah, if we go down, we're a lot more mountainous, certainly on the western bit. This is the capey bit, so very, very mountainous here. One of the most beautiful bits in the whole world, to be honest, in my opinion, is the southern half of South Africa. But I mean, this is pretty beautiful as well. But yeah, it feels a bit more like Namibia. But yeah, we're a bit more orangey, a bit more red, bit more sort of growing in the way of grass. Still not much, but yeah, sort of southern Namibia can look like this as well. But as we go down, we can see still we've got the sort of dry redness. I'll just compare it to these. You're not going to get this sort of like lush greenness growing here. It's still dry, but depending on the season, depending on the coverage, you will get these sort of green plains with big sort of craggy mountains in the background. If we go in here, yeah, you will not get this in the western half. It's not going to be grassy like this. We are still in the deserty bit, but yeah, vastly different to the western half. And yeah, massive points on offer as well. If we go into Beaufort West here, you can see it kind of feels similar, but we've got grass growing, sort of like short grass, not as much exposed rock as well. Certainly in and around the plains. I don't know how else to say it, but you're going to get plains. You're going to get these flat bits. Here is lots of sort of like thin valleys, like this. Like, okay, we've got a plain there, but as I said, I was just showing that to say that not everything is the case. I thought I had some more valleys maybe down here. Yeah, this is sort of what I'm talking about more. Yeah, sort of in a valley here, but you see as we're going down, we're getting greener. So red there, We've still got the red dirt, but yeah, we're getting greener as we go further down, closer to Cape Town, closer to where the rain is. And yeah, you look here, you've still got the similarities of the north, but then you've also got the similarities of the south. So it's that word that I keep saying. I'm not going to say what, but again, I nearly said it. But yeah, this is it feels like Cape Town, but then it also feels a bit like this. So yeah, it's just repeating it over and over again, muscle memory, knowing that this sort of looks a bit like this, but different. It makes sense to me. Am I the only one it makes sense to? Other people will have other techniques, I guess, maybe, but that's just the way it works in my head. But yeah, we get into close to South Africa here, close to Cape Town here. We've got sort of our lush, open, green fields. And we'll just go in and we'll see. Does it look like the north bit? No. Completely different planet. So, yeah, there's nowhere else really in South Africa that will look like this. So yeah, know your coverage. A lot of points on offer, even if you're like here compared with here, or here compared with here, even more. And I just wanted to look here because it's stunning. Would really like to go someday, but yeah. Again, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna one last thing. So this landscape here, it does feel like all of this, obviously, but look how green it is. I mean, like, you know, use your brain. You do have the exposed rock of the west bit. You won't find this in the sort of pockets of mountains in the interior or elsewhere in South Africa. Just use your brain. See that it's green. Be like, hey, this feels like Namibia. Namibia doesn't have much rain. Namibia is one of the driest places in the world. I'm not going to guess up here for it. You know, it feels like the sort of Cape Town stuff. And that's because it is. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to waffle. I can't stop. I cannot stop talking. It's a curse. It's not a blessing. It's just a curse. I hope that helped. Even if I help, what's the line from the end of Schindler's List? He who saves one soul saves a million. Even if I've helped one person here, I am the Oscar Schindler of GeoGuessr. You know, is that a good thing? I basically call myself a Nazi, haven't I? On that note, we'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed.